Welcome to Take the Lead Radio with Dr. Diane Hamilton, where she interviews some of the most successful leaders, entrepreneurs, authors, speakers, and other individuals who will inspire you to take the lead in your career and personal life. And now, here is Dr. Diane Hamilton.
I am here with Kathy Ireland, who's supermodel turned super mogul. She's one of the 50 most influential people in fashion, the author of multiple books, including her latest, Fashion Jungle, co-authored with New York Times #1 best-selling author, Rachel Van Dyken. It's so nice to have you here, Kathy.
Oh, Diane, thank you so much. It's wonderful to be with you.
Oh, well, I was looking forward to this. I've had all kinds of people from, Steve Forbes to billionaires to all kinds of very successful people on the show. And my connection to Forbes made me look up some of the Forbes things. And you've been on the cover of Forbes. You've been on the cover of many a magazine that wasn't just related to fashion. And I was really fascinated with your story. And I know we don't have a ton of time, but I do want to get a little backstory on you. We know who doesn't know who Kathy Ireland is from all the famous modeling pictures and all that. But how did you get to that level before you even turned into this super mogul?
Oh, thank you, Diane. It's been a journey for sure. And the long ago modeling career, grateful. It ended up being an amazing education. It was not part of the plan at all. And I would say the biggest gift from that long ago career was all the rejection. And I didn't appreciate it at the time.
Yeah.
But when, I've always been an entrepreneur, always worked, always loved business. First job, I was 4 years old. I sold painted rocks from my wagon, door to door. I was that kid going door to door selling everything and had a paper route. When we started with a single pair of socks, I was an aging pregnant model, started from our kitchen table, and then presenting those socks to retailers. We had every comment you can imagine, doors slam in our faces, but that it certainly didn't destroy me by any means. I mean, no means now we're talking, I'll come back tomorrow. Maybe your circumstances will have changed, or maybe you'll be in a better mood.
Yeah, well, I think that's really interesting. It ties into my research and curiosity of what holds people back is fear a lot of times. And if you don't see that as a negative thing, as a learning thing, that's really crucial. And you have taken just everything that you've learned and made it into, everything's the next level better. And so I was interested in just all the different things you've done, and writing books, being in movies like Necessary Roughness. I was looking at some of the things of Dancing with the Stars. I mean, there's not too many things you haven't tried to do, which I love that. I think that what was interesting is that you take advice from Warren Buffett, which is a nice friend and mentor to have. How did you get such good friends?
Oh, my goodness. I met Warren Buffett through Irv Blumpkin of the Nebraska Furniture Mart. And so when we first got into the home industry, it was at a time when people who were known for other things didn't have furniture. They weren't designing home furnishings. In fact, Jay Leno, who I adore, he actually laughed at me on television when I told him I was going into the home industry. Just, that was so funny. But just because something hasn't been done doesn't mean it can't be done. I love a good challenge. And Mrs. B, Rose Blumpkin, for your audience, she is amazing. And I had read about this, this leader in the home industry and how she came to this country virtually penniless. And she started the Nebraska Furniture Mart. Just this amazing woman. I never got to meet her. And there's this legendary handshake deal she had with Mr. Buffett. Berkshire Hathaway, Nebraska Furniture Mart is part of Berkshire Hathaway. So the very first furniture market that we were launching in High Point, North Carolina, Mr. Blumpkin shows up. I was so nervous when I saw him.
Yeah.
And he sees team members around me. And I know he was thinking I had an entourage. And it's like, I didn't have an assistant.
Right.
Everybody, this was the team. That's how I invested my money and putting a team together. But anyway, so Irv says, okay, Kathy takes me through a loan. If she doesn't know her stuff, I'm not buying. And
that's
took
good
a
though.
deep breath,
Yeah.
but you know what? He gave us a chance, and he bought. And how Nebraska goes, so goes the country. He gave us our first chance, and he and his family, they are cherished friends, family. We work together. They're just amazing. And Mr. Buffett calls Irv Blumkin his best friend. So that's how I met Mr. Buffett, who also had a paper route when he was a kid. So he started inviting me to compete with him in these newspaper tossing competitions at the opening of his Berkshire Hathaway shareholders meetings. And Bill Gates would compete too. And I got to tell you, Mr. Buffett is a fierce competitor. And despite him having a little bit more experience than me, he practices till late at night. He's
That's
he's very
great.
good.
I
Yeah.
love that he and Gates always talk about how they value curiosity so much. And I think that that's such a huge aspect of what makes somebody successful in business. And, what I really found interesting is how many types of businesses. I mean, you don't just sell clothing or wedding dresses or home and garden or swimwear or eyewear. I mean, it's so encompassing. Does it ever get overwhelming that there's so much, or do you ever want to scale back, or are you wanting to expand more?
No, thank you, Diane. We want to grow. We want to expand. When we started with that single pair of socks, that was the foundation. It felt like a really solid place to start. But it was never, there were never limits on it. And something that I find in business too, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for every lesson, every failure. Everything's been a lesson. Something I really, have bumped into, as many have, are oftentimes people will want to put us in a box. They'll want to put limits on us. Maybe it's because of our gender. Maybe it's because of a career that we once had. But okay, you can work in beauty, or you can do, this, that. Nothing wrong with that. But it's like, well, why? How about fintech? That's a wonderful area in which to work. And our company works with some incredible companies like American Family Insurance. Amazing people there. Ireland Pay is our merchant services. We're working with UBS and with something that we launched during the pandemic is Kathy Ireland Small Business Network. And this is in an effort to, I mean, small businesses are the heartbeat of our country. And this is to not only help them survive and thrive, but to scale and to bring new opportunities and relationships to them. Entertainment, that's an area in which we work. We work with incredible people, Vanessa Williams, Marilyn McCoo, and Billy Davis Jr. Our company worked with Janet Jackson and got her back to her rightful place in #1. And then BMG gave us a record label, working with Magnolia Hill, Sam Haskell, who just brought to Netflix Dolly Parton's Christmas in the Square. Some amazing people. Also publishing and real estate. Kathy Ireland American Home, bringing affordable homes to people throughout our country with single moms, military veterans in mind, as well as luxury estates around the world. I work with an amazing team. And
that's an amount of
great,
work.
great people.
What I noticed you also had worked with Elizabeth Taylor, who I met a long time ago, and I'm thinking of she was unbelievable. I'm thinking of all the things that you've done. I just was watching some of the videos because there's so much on you. It's hard to pick what you want to talk about. What's it like to see Peter Griffith singing to your cutout on Family Guy, or to see that you're this icon that it reaches at all levels? You know what I mean?
You are so kind, Diane.
Well, that was a great scene. It was great. I love that show, but I don't know if you watch Family Guy, but it's so interesting to look at your transformation. I mean, modeling is, a whole different ballgame than starting your own company. So where did you get this business acumen? I mean, what training, just because I teach so many business courses, I'm always interested in how entrepreneurs learn the business.
Well, the entire time I worked as a model, I was trying and failing businesses. It just took me a really long time.
Yeah.
Had one of those earlier ventures been successful, the modeling career wouldn't have gone on so long. But I early on, I didn't feel comfortable earning a paycheck off how someone else perceived that I looked. I saw how fickle that was, and that just wasn't a lot of security there. So it was, I think, the lessons I learned as a child. Selling rocks, selling newspapers. My dad said when I got that paper route, he said, Kathy, always give 110%. If the customer expects the paper on the driveway, you get it on the front porch. And that was the foundation of learning to underpromise and over-deliver.
Right.
And it's a foundation of our business today. In fact, our team members, when somebody does a great presentation, will say, you got it on the front porch.
That's I love that. Just in sales, it's such a huge thing. So many people don't do that, and you really do have to over deliver. And I was looking at what you've over delivered, and it's in the billions and in your companies, and you're outselling some of the big names. I mean, we know, Martha Stewart's and the names out there. Did you have any idea when you started this that it was going to lead to something as huge as it led to, or is this just every day you're just surprised by what happens next?
Oh my goodness. It's an excellent question, Diane. It's humbling, and we're so grateful for the opportunities that we have. And yet at the same time, we feel like we're a baby brand just getting started because there's so much we want to do. And sometimes people say, well, why do you keep working? Why do you want to do this? And I really feel that it is such a blessing to be exposed to needs that are so much greater than us, and also to opportunities that are so much greater than us. And one of the things we've had the privilege of doing is working with the youth program at the UN on their Millennium Development Goals, which include everything from eradicating hunger and poverty and disease to supporting education and the environment. And we've added the support of military veterans and their families, and also the fight against human trafficking. So everyone with whom we have a relationship with, a business relationship, that's our first vetting process, our getting to know you process, is we share with them the goals. They're a diverse group of goals. We've got 10 of them, and we don't demand a monetary amount. It can be volunteer time with their teams. Yet we need to know that there's a commitment, and that in success, we're going to be able to do some wonderful things and make a difference. And once in a while, we'll get somebody who's like, no, not interested in any of that. And then we're like, okay, well, let's not waste each other's time. We're not going to be a good fit. And moving on. But we work with incredible people. Oh my goodness. I feel so fortunate for the amazing people, and many of the relationships that we enjoy are decades long. I mean, we have some new ones. We just started working with our dear friends, Marcus and Bobby Lemonis of Camping World, and so much respect for Marcus and Bobby, amazing people. And we're designing camping furniture and wonderful products for this great group. But from brand new relationships to relationships that are decades old, it becomes like family. So it's all about people and choosing the right people, the right fit. Sometimes, people are not always who they say they are. So every once in a while we bump into that.
I'm sure.
But for the most part, I mean, we have such a great team. I feel just so fortunate in that.
Well, it's really important to give back, and I saw your work with the National Pediatric Cancer Foundation. I mean, you're just doing a lot of really amazing things. British Vogue called you the world's richest model, and so you've had this great responsibility of giving back. But if you're doing all these successful things, I'm curious what would make you want to write as well, because writing isn't the most financially rewarding thing. Coming from somebody who's written 5 books, I can tell you that. I am curious because you wrote a novel, and that's unique.
That was, that surprised me too, Diane. I wasn't.
Yeah, well, tell me why you did that.
You know, I was not planning on sharing those stories. It's fiction, and it's based on true stories that happened in my life, as well as roommates and girls I knew in the fashion industry. It was when I met Rachel Van Dyken, and who you shared, a New York Times bestselling author. And Rachel and I started talking. If not for that, for Rachel, I don't believe I would have done this, but she understood how to take those stories and weave it into just a wonderful read, a wonderful novel. And there's a lot of intrigue, and she's just absolutely fantastic. But it is a cautionary tale, and my reason for actually wanting to share these stories is because I think we look at the finished product and it is so glamorous and retouched and all of that, but we often don't see what goes on behind the scenes, the underbelly of that industry. And it can be pretty gnarly. And there were things I experienced as a teenager that I want other people to be alert to and watch out for. And what I tell young people, I tell people of every age to really figure out what your values are. For me, it's my faith, it's my family, and then it's being in service through our work. Figure out your values and put boundaries in place to protect them, because they will be challenged. And no is a complete sentence. I was in my 40s before I learned that one. But, no thank you is good, but no works. So, I think oftentimes we have to say no to good things in an effort to say yes to great things.
I was looking at some of the things they said. You said no, someone didn't respect your no. Is that a true story, that a photographer tried to have you pose topless and you decked him? Is that, or is that an incorrect quote?
No, that happened. I was in Paris, and I was, I'm a teenager. I find myself, I'm in the apartment of this photographer, and thinking back, it's like, how would I go to an apartment with this strange man? But it just seemed perfectly normal. And I thought all adults were good people, like my mom and dad, and, trusted people. And he wanted me to, to post topless. Like, no, I'm not, that's not my thing. I grew up in California. You get arrested for such things. So I'm not judging other people, but it wasn't comfortable for me. So I said, no, thank you. And he started showing me pictures of other women you had. And I said, well, you can get them for your photos. No, thank you. But he crossed that boundary with me. He crossed that line, and he just started to push me, into the bathroom to and so the left hook just came out. And I mean, he wasn't hurt, but I got away. So
well, I'm surprised
that was the end of that.
If that's as much as you had, I would imagine you got a lot of people trying to cross the line, and it's tough. Would you recommend being a model to teenagers today, to young girls today?
Oh, I always feel like the naysayer, the killjoy when people ask me. I just think you've got to be so alert and so aware, and it is possible. I mean, you can survive that business, you can do well, there can be good things from it, but it's tough. And I think you really have, I think even the most secure people can have a challenge with it. So you've got to be alert and protect yourself.
Do you have
and
daughters?
always have a plan, and have a plan B as well. It's just because you have limited control as far as, unless you're producing the photo shoots, you have limited control on that. So it's always good to have a plan B.
Well, you mentioned you had children. Do you have daughters, or I'm curious how many kids
we
you have?
have 2 daughters, a son, and our son is married. All beautiful, beautiful children, beautiful young people. And they've actually all been approached to model at different times. And it's been interesting to, I was so afraid, like our son, who's our oldest, I mean, he didn't know until I think he was in third or fourth grade. Someone at school said something and he's like, "Mom, are you famous?" I was like, "No, I mean, not in comparison to some of my work is in the public eye. So I'm known by some to some, but no, not in comparison to others." But so there was always kind of that fear, but yet just because of what things I experienced, but yet I'm so grateful. All of our children, amazing people, great heads on their shoulders, and they have other gifts and they enjoy using those other gifts. So it really hasn't been of interest. So
that's interesting.
All that worry for nothing.
Well, I think you're very famous. The Sports Illustrated cover that you graced, is that the main one that you were? I know you did 13 of them, I believe, but doesn't that one still rank as the number one of all time for them, best selling?
There was the 25th anniversary issue, yes, and that was and oh my goodness, and Julie Campbell, the editor of that issue, and she founded it. She continues to be an amazing part of our lives. Just what a brilliant woman. And I got to watch her navigate. And fight for the integrity of her brand and navigate in a world where there were very few women at that time. And she was just amazing.
Well, I know you've done so much, and I think a lot of people want to follow you and want to know more. Is there a website or something you'd like to share? I know you're a lot of charities and things you're dealing with. I didn't know which site to share for you. Is there something you'd like to share?
Well, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you so much. I mean, LinkedIn is great. Instagram, Twitter, all the handles. KathyIreland.com. Are great. I love connecting with people. We've met some amazing people. I was really slow, Diane, to getting on social media too. Our president and CMO Stephen Roseberry said, "You got to do this," and I resisted it, and I'm so grateful. We've met some incredible people along the way.
Well, you really have done a lot of amazing things, and I hope people check out your new book, and they can get that on Amazon too. And this was a lot of fun, Kathy. Thank you. I know you had a busy day. Thank you for fitting this into your schedule. This was so much fun.
Well, Diane, thank you. It is an honor to talk with you. Congratulations to you on all your success. I wish I could be interviewing you. You're amazing. So thank you.
Thank you. And we will be back right after this message.